Welcome to Nightchild Reviews, and for the next couple of weeks we'll be celebrating all things cloud guitar. From the story of Prince's iconic guitar, the remarkable design by Dave Rusan, legendary cloud moments, the legal complications currently surrounding the future of the guitar, and culminating in a written review, Dave Rusan giving us his take on not only the guitar but his favourite Prince era and battles with the estate. Alongside words from Dave, I'll also be aided by the awesome Mr. Ant's World of Prince channel, to whom I'm always deeply indebted. I'd also like to take this moment to thank the many scholars, researchers, writers and enthusiasts for whom the cloud guitar has become an almost Sherlock Holmes-like quest. In particular, I'd like to give a big heads up for a video coming soon from the Prince scholar, writer and deep dive documenter of all things Prince, Mr. Edgar Cruz, who will be releasing a fascinating video about the cloud. As soon as it drops, we will share it on all our platforms. For anyone interested in the life of the cloud, this will be unmissable viewing. Before we begin, there's one small caveat. The cloud guitar is like the ocean. Every day we are discovering new aspects to it. No one has explored it all, and however well intentioned, we can but touch on the merest surface level of all there is to know. We are simply adding our little drop to the ocean of blue. This is the first of 5 short little videos designed to give you an introduction, a mere taste of how the cloud guitar in the hands of the greatest musician of all time, Prince, came to be an iconic, era-defining, funk-providing, wailing, electric conductor of the musical connection between humankind and the inner soul of a genius. Today, we will begin with a brief look at how the cloud became such a key part of Prince's image and his musical journey. Later in the week, we'll look at the evolution and design of the cloud, then the legal battles between the estate and Dave Rusan. Mr. Ants will then pick his favourite cloud guitar moments before we wrap up with our written interview with Dave.
Say hello to my little friend, the Blue Angel.
My introduction to the cloud guitar was possibly a familiar one to many people. I was watching Purple Rain for the very first time. Prince, playing the kid, was a hungry ball of desires, and aside from stardom, Apollonia, self-understanding and a spot at First Avenue, the other central fixation he had was an otherworldly item, and this is how it was introduced to us. Interviewed in a great article linked below in premierguitar.com is a fantastic description of that moment, and Dave Rusan's reaction to seeing his guitar unveiled to the cinema-going masses. The interview states, "One scene in particular sends a knowing murmur through the theatre crowd. The kid is wooing his love interest, Apollonia, when he steps in front of a shop window to admire a guitar. 'Do you see something you like?' she asks him. He answers only, 'Let's go.' And the camera cuts and pans slowly over Apollonia's shoulder to reveal a white, curvy, alien-looking axe slung upside down for a lefty like Jimi Hendrix, let's say, from a black mannequin's neck. It's foreshadowing that hits you over the head, but the statement is clear. This is the kid's totem, the staff of Moses, his ticket to the big time, and one day soon it'll be his to play." That's what a guitar is really, at least in the rock world, says Dave Rusan, the original builder of what would become known in princely lore as the cloud guitar, one of 4 he made in the mid-1980s. It's so much more than just a part of a costume. It's a means of expression, power, identity, you name it. And honestly, I didn't know how it was going to be portrayed in the movie because we didn't have any hints of a plot line or the script or anything. But when I first saw it, I remember thinking, oh wow, there it is. I was quite surprised. From that point on, there was a real golden period for the cloud. Whenever it appeared, you knew you were in line for an amazing experience. Prince used the cloud as a direct extension of his soul. There was simply no separation between his musical mind and expression through this instrument. From the more attention-grabbing, shredding and epic soloing, there was a huge range of often overlooked abilities, from the rhythmic, frenetic groove riding, or the much more jazz-inspired noodling notes, which could often pierce the listener's being. With Prince, you so often very felt that you were taken out of yourself into this slightly different world. Your day-to-day concerns just stepped back for a while, and Prince soothed and electrified your mind. The cloud guitar became synonymous with some of the most appreciated and critically acclaimed periods in Prince's career. When you think of Purple Rain, you think of that ethereal, angelic, pristine white cloud. When you think of Sign of the Times live, you think of that sumptuous peach guitar growling and wailing through I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man, or the blistering energy of Play in the Sunshine. For me, the Lovesexy era will always be preserved in my mind as the era of the Blue Angel, the rotating guitar of I Wish You Heaven, those simply legendary performances on the Dortmund video. The repainted yellow cloud guitar was an utterly indispensable visual element of the Diamonds and Pearls era. Who could imagine Get Off or Cream without it? For me, personally, the re-emergence of the cloud during the Rave Unto the Joy Fantastic era at the turn of the century was a sight to behold, and seeing Prince rock She's Always in My Hair and You Got the Look at Paisley on the accompanying DVD still stirs the joy in my soul. For Prince, his image was not an afterthought. It was utterly central in everything he did. Every era was defined by a colour tone, a hairstyle, a design ethos, the arrangement of his stage set, indeed the very size of his band, whether it be the expanded NPG or the stripped down Third Eye Girl. Everything was thoughtfully interwoven and integrated, and the cloud was no different. In our interview with Dave Roussan, Dave notes, although Prince wanted guitars that would perform well, they were just as important to him for their image, just as his clothes were, so they had to be repainted in hues that went with whatever colour scheme he was incorporating at that time. There was certainly an elegance in the cloud design, which we will look at in our next video, from its elongated swirl and curved lines to the intricacy of the fretwork and the slight variances over the years. It has always struck me as a touch classical, owing a nod to the kind of guitar Mozart would have provided for his orchestra, with almost timeless appeal. Indeed, the cloud, as we will see, was an amalgamation of ideas and incarnations stretching back to an original cloud base. Ultimately, a craftsman has an intimate relationship with his tools. Those tools shape his world, allow him to create the works that will connect those innermost thoughts, pains, desires and hopes to the wider world. For a genius such as Prince, those tools needed to be a part of the story in their own right. They needed to be beautiful, durable enough to be thrown across stages, robust enough to be repaired when a stagehand didn't quite manage to catch them, technically proficient and versatile enough to produce a truly stunningly wide array of sound, pitch and tone, and ultimately something that Prince would love to play and savour. Every Prince fan can think of those moments when you watch a Prince guitar solo and he seems completely lost in the moment, utterly absorbed and enveloped in his own world, a transcendental uplift beyond the normal world, a space outside of time, a moment in the clouds. Thank you.